Pressure test only the newly installed gas piping sections unless the code or inspector requires retesting the entire system, and do it with tight isolation, certified test gauges, and documented procedures to keep expansions efficient and compliant. When you add a new run to an existing natural gas or liquefied petroleum propane system, isolate the new section with test caps or a temporary blind flange, and use pressure-rated fittings so the existing system stays undisturbed. This prevents unnecessary downtime and maintains delivered appliances on service. Use a calibrated pressure gauge with a minimum resolution of 1/10 of a pound per square inch and verify calibration against a known standard before you start. Record the gauge serial and calibration date in the test report. Pressurize the new segment with inert test medium, such as dry nitrogen, to the code-required test pressure. Typically 1.5 times the proposed operating pressure, but follow the specific jurisdictional code. And hold for the mandated duration, usually 10 minutes to 30 minutes depending on length and fittings, log start and end pressures, and ambient temperature. Apply a soap solution or approved leak detection fluid to joints and fittings while under test pressure, and simultaneously perform a pressure drop check. Note initial pressure, isolate the test section, wait the specified hold period. Then compare pressures to calculate leakage rate. If drop exceeds allowable limits, depressurize, repair, and retest. If the new work ties into existing lines that cannot be isolated with a permanent valve, install a temporary isolation device rated for test pressure, or use an approved method such as a mechanical seal or test plug, so the rest of the system remains live. When continuing an expansion that modifies fittings or meter sets on the existing run, be prepared to perform a system partial test that includes affected upstream segments. Document exactly which segments were tested and attach clear diagrams to the inspection paperwork. Always follow the authority having jurisdiction and the local inspector's written requirements. Many jurisdictions accept partial tests for added sections, but some will require a full system test when alterations are made at or near the meter, regulator, or main feed. Keep a complete signed test certificate with pressures, durations, gauge info, repairs made, and photos of isolation points to speed approvals and minimize rework. One of the top 3 mistakes is treating code for pressure testing as universal instead of jurisdiction-specific, which creates failed inspections. Fix this by confirming the local code interpretation and getting written guidance from the inspector before testing. One of the top 3 mistakes is failing to use proper isolation, for example using non-rated caps, which risks pressurizing appliances or downstream piping. Fix this by installing pressure-rated blinds or test plugs and verifying isolation with a secondary physical check. One of the top 3 mistakes is poor documentation, sketchy pressure logs, and missing gauge calibration. So inspectors flag the job. Fix this by recording gauge, serial, and calibration date, taking time-stamped photos of test setups, and producing a legible test report that shows initial and final pressures, duration, and any repairs. BigHomeProjects.com lists qualified local gas contractors and inspectors who regularly perform pressure testing and understand how to test only new sections efficiently. The directory helps homeowners find trusted professionals and helps contractors get work by connecting them with local expansion and retrofit projects.